Kamala Harris is much more subtle. She makes claims that are kind of true and kind of not, but she has no real substantiation. And then she waits for people to draw inferences from them. So she's a clever liar. Right? She's not an obvious liar. She's a clever liar. So how would you like to have Kamala Harris as your president? Because, again, remember, I said this the day she was nominated. By nominating Kamala Harris, Joe Biden was making himself secondary to the campaign. And if the Trump campaign had not been so focused in on whatever it is Trump wanted to do that day, they would have focused in on Kamala Harris, who is a deeply unlikable radical who was so bad at her job that she dropped out of the Democratic primaries before they even hit California because she knew she was going to get skunked in her home state. So as president, Kamala Harris would be dishonest, like Clintonian dishonest. Presumption is she would be radical because she has been radical in her actual voting record. And she would be deeply vicious because she has insulted huge swaths of Americans as racist for not supporting her, for not supporting Joe Biden. She is like Barack Obama without any of the charm, basically. So if you liked the Obama administration, particularly what it did to America, you would love a Harris administration. And conversely, if you didn't like Barack Obama's administration, if you thought that Barack Obama was radical enough for you and divisive enough for you, then get ready, because Kamala Harris will double down on that to the nth degree. She's a more obvious politician. She's less subtle. She does not use a stiletto. She uses a machete. Okay, so here, let's walk down memory lane with Kamala Harris in preparation for the debate tonight. So you'll remember, this was the moment when we all learned that Kamala Harris was supposedly a great debater. This is where Kamala Harris called her running mate a racist, essentially.
It's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
So much emotion in her voice. And then her campaign had a T-shirt up on her campaign website within moments. I said, by the way, I said this at the time that he was being unfairly maligned here, that opposing federal forced busing was not, in fact, the wrong policy in the 1970s, nor is it wrong policy today. And Kamala Harris would never, in fact, stand in favor of federally forced busing. But she attacked Joe Biden as a racist, and then, of course, she backed off of it. You'll remember that Kamala Harris suggested that Joe Biden was, in fact, a sexual abuser. And then she backed off of this as well, right? This kind of disappeared into the ether. When there were accusers who came out and suggested that Joe Biden had touched them inappropriately or against their consent, she said, I believe the accusers. In fact, after this, she even went on to say maybe Joe Biden should drop out of the race. Here was Kamala Harris way back when.
I believe them, and I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it.
Do you believe that the vice president should enter this race?
Oh, he's going to have to make that decision for himself. I wouldn't tell him what to do.
Himself. Now, she was asked about this, right? She has been asked about this. And her answer was, I'm focusing on Trump right now. And this is the answer of every single Democrat. Don't let that be the answer. They should have to answer basic questions about whether she believes that her running mate is a racist or a rapist, right? She ought to have to answer those particular questions, since she threw out there those implications. She didn't overtly call him a racist. All she did was suggest that he would have stopped little girls like her, meaning a black little girl, from going to an integrated public school. That's what she suggested on an open debate stage and then backed off of it. She suggested that she believed the accusers of Joe Biden, and then she backed off of it. She's deeply dishonest, and Pence should press on this tonight. She's deeply dishonest on the issues. You have no idea where she stands. Originally, at the beginning of the campaign, she tried to hijack Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All shtick, and then she ran directly away from the Medicare for All shtick. In fact, she told Axios on HBO, quote, I have to tell you honestly, I knew it. I said to my team, we need to do a better plan. This is not good enough. I said to my team, I know we're going to take a political hit for it. I knew that. I knew we were. I knew I'd be called a flip-flopper for that. Well, if you knew you were going to be called a flip-flopper for that, then why did you embrace Medicare for All in the first place? And the answer is because she is such a political animal. I mean, she is just a chameleonic politician with tendencies toward the radical left. Harris was asked specifically, for example, about the price tag of the Green New Deal. So she was a Senate co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. Now, the Green New Deal would cost, according to AOC's plan, some $93 trillion. $93 trillion, okay, which is crazy. She was asked about the price tag of what the Green New Deal would cost, and she just elided the question completely.
$3 trillion a year for Medicare for All by some studies. Depending on which portions of the Green New Deal you pick to do first, that's money. That you know what the Republicans are going to say, tax and spend liberals, pie in the sky,
One of the things that I admire and respect is the measurement that is captured in 3 letters, ROI. What's the return on the investment? People in the private sector understand this really well. It's not about a cost, it's about an investment. And then the question should be, is it worth the cost in terms of the investment potential? Are we going to get back more than we put in?
Okay, so this is the line that Biden has been using as well, and Bernie Sanders, which is, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on the Green New Deal ever, because there will be green jobs at the end of it. Just like there were shovel-ready jobs at the end of Barack Obama's stimulus that never materialized. Just like the green jobs czar, Van Jones, produced 0 green new jobs while he was on staff at the Obama administration. Kamala Harris was asked about whether she would be in favor of packing the Supreme Court. She refused to answer that question as well. So where the hell does this lady stand on anything? You don't know. All you know is her voting record, which is radically leftist, and you know her personality, which is deeply dishonest. And this lady will probably be president of the United States if Joe Biden is elected. Here she was, failing to explain where she stands on expanding the Supreme Court.
If Judge Barrett is confirmed and the Democrats have control of the Senate next year and the White House and the House of Representatives, should the Supreme Court be expanded?
You know what, I think that, first of all, Joe's been very clear that he is going to pay attention to the fact, and I'm with him on this 1,000%, pay attention to the fact that right now, Lawrence, people are voting.
What is that? What the F is that? Right now, people are voting. So she won't answer whether she's packing the court. She won't answer Green New Deal questions on cost. She won't answer Medicare for all. She will not answer any serious policy question at all. Same thing with Joe Biden. They're all just going to point at Trump, and the media will let them get away with it. And so if Joe Biden wins, here's who will be emboldened. The radical left, who have never had to answer a simple question. The media, who have dishonestly covered for the radical left. And members, as we will see, of the so-called deep state, meaning members of the regulatory bodies of the American executive branch, who acted in terrible fashion, as it turns out, in 2016, and who will be put back in positions of power if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were to gain the presidency. Did you know that every like on this video creates 1 additional leftist tier? Don't ask me why. That's called science. To take advantage of this amazing opportunity, hit the like button.